Darn, so close. All right, so again, we're talking about movement today. Who can tell me why movement is important in drama? Just a shot in the dark guess. Anybody? Why is movement important in drama? Well, obvious answer is you're on the stage, and otherwise you're just going to be standing there like a knot on a log if you don't move around some.
Is it because, okay, so whenever you need to get on your cues, isn't that because you need to have to know which cue and what to go on and what to go off? Or like when you get here on like point A to point B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you need to know your movements, obviously from point A to point B to point C or even point Z sometimes, depending on how long you're on the stage moving around, where you're moving around on the stage, but also need to know your particular movements. How does your movements help you tell the story? How do your movements help portray the character? If your character is, say, let's say, for example, Quasimodo from Hunchback of Notre Dame, if you're doing that show, then obviously you're not going to be walking around like, the ballerina from, or any of the ballerinas from the Nutcracker or something like that, if you're actually Quasimodo. It wouldn't surprise me if somebody turns the story of Hunchback into a ballet. Wouldn't surprise me nowadays, but stranger things have happened. But yes, so if you were playing Quasimodo, you'd be kind of, you'd be hunched over and might have some kind of a limp, possibly, depending on how you want to portray the character. So that's why movement is important. But there's different types of movements that we need to discuss this morning. So let me pull this up on screen so everybody can see it. There we go. All right. Ooh, that's big today. All right, y'all can see that just fine. All right, so I'm going to read this first paragraph here. Go away, Blue Box. We don't need you here. And then we'll go on and through there. Good morning, Leilani. Good to see you. Let me adjust that real quick. All right, so first paragraph here in your reading. Again, in this, if you're just coming in now later, this is posted onto the Google Classroom, so you can read along with us, or you can watch on the screen as well. All right, movement. The last of the 5 personal resources discussed in this chapter is essential element in theater. It is the way we communicate with our bodies. The activities for movement will develop your understanding of your own body in motion, but will also develop cooperation and ensemble. 2 types of movement will be discussed in this lesson: rhythmic and expressive. So before we get into it, who wants to venture a guess as to what the difference between rhythmic and expressive movement is, without having looked at it yet? What are your initial thoughts of what those two movements are? I think Jaleesa's trying to get in. Anybody want to venture a guess? Be brave. Be bold. I don't know why I'm turning this into a Scottish accent, but it's turning into, because that's why the name of the movie Brave is from Scotland. That's why I'm turning it into Scottish. You're going to have that type of hair, Lena, when you have the red come out. It's going to be that red. And it's not going to be that red. It's going to be like a strawberry blonde. Okay. I'm telling you, this is just pure adrenaline, folks. I've had maybe 1 thing of caffeine, and it's only been green tea, so it's totally adrenaline. All right, so rhythmic movement. Anybody have a guess what that is? What is rhythmic movement? Just from the term, what does it sound like to you?
Where the beats are.
Okay, where the beats are? Specifically, be a little bit more specific. Make the connection between movement and beats. Here's a hint. As a dancer, you should really know this. All right, Emily.
Like the rhythm.
Okay, what about the rhythm as far as with movement? What about moving to the beat? Moving to the beat. Yeah, more or less, moving it to the beat. So rhythmic movement is movement to a beat or pattern of beats. Same with like a dancer. You're moving to a certain set of beats, okay? When with my course class, if you've ever had me in a course class, we talk about triple meter. It's 3 beats grouped together into one set, into one grouping. There's a dance name for that. It's called a waltz. You actually move to each beat. Step, touch, touch, step, touch, touch. If I had a little bit more room in here, we could touch each other. I'd waltz with somebody if they'd let me, okay? So that's a rhythmic movement. You're moving to the beats depending on how many beats there are. All right, so who'd like to read the rest of that paragraph there, starting at a beat is a mark of time. Anybody else want to volunteer? All righty then. I will volunteer. Actually, I don't volunteer. I'll voluntold. Ashley, you want to read a little bit for us?
Sure. I was just trying to find where you were. I see it now.
Oh, rhythmic. The paragraph under rhythmic movement. It's right underneath the definition of the term.
Okay. A beat is a mark of time or accent given to time. Rhythm is movement with a regular repetition of a beat or accent. Rhythmic movement is especially challenging because it requires discipline and practice. You must try to be in complete control of your body. It requires not only physical attention but mental attention. You may be directed to perform movements at different speeds to produce special effects on stage. You may also be directed to move to music on stage. The rhythmic movements and arrangement of steps are referred to in the theater as choreography.
Choreography. So choreography is the art of planning and composing a dance, specifically to dance. You know all about choreography. Oh, yeah. So it's planning out your movements. I know I'm using you just because you told me you dance. So there you go. You're gonna be my guinea pig when it comes to dance stuff. Okay. So choreography. It's planning out your steps, planning out your movements. If you've ever looked, it's especially in some of these movies where this, like, say for example, the guy is trying to learn how to dance to impress the girl. Okay, sometimes, especially some of the older films, I don't know if they actually had these things or not, but the guys would sometimes order this learn how to dance in 5 easy steps kind of a program package. He gets the package and it's this big old floor mat, and you see a bunch of shoe prints printed all over it with arrows and numbers and everything. Okay, that's essentially choreography, but that's a more comical way of saying that's choreography. So it's a planned out set of steps. Okay. Good morning, Julissa. See, you were having some technical issues this morning. All right.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. That's out of your control. So let me see here. Where was I talking about? We're looking into the reading for chapter 3 on movement. If you want to pull that up on Google Classroom, Leilani. Or no, excuse me, Julissa, excuse me. Well, Leilani and Julissa, both of you, I guess. I got to change Leilani's here. Present on site. All right. Who would like to read the next paragraph about expressive movement? There we go. Anybody? All right. Haley, you awake enough to read a little bit this morning?
I guess so.
All right, go ahead and read that first paragraph in expressive movement.
All right.
If you would, please.
Studies on the body language tell us that people often express how they feel through physical movement. This type of movement is called expressive movement. You will have a chance to explore nonverbal communication through the expressive movement activities. Emotions and thoughts can be expressed through the use of your entire body from head to toe.
Okay, very nice. So who could come up with basically, well, not come up with, so expressive movements. Expressive movements are movements that express a feeling. They express a theme, a story, they tell some sort of emotion. So if you've ever looked up any sort of expressive movements online, usually there's no dialogue. It's just a person that's up there trying to use a movement of some sort to convey some sort of emotion. So I want you to think in your mind real quick. Let's think of who wants to give me an emotion we can try to use. Kayla? Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so I don't do it, but I've seen other people do it because whenever the song is like very slow or high pitched, they have to use their face.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm on.
Okay. All right. So lyrical movement, yeah, that's more of I think. Let's see. Lyrical movement could be used for conveying or matching a movement to better express a song, possibly. I know one good example, a decent example of that is, as far as visually anyway, how many of you ever heard of the movies Fantasia or Fantasia 2000? Have you all ever heard of those two movies? Okay. So in those, if you've never heard of those, it's Disney created both of those movies, and they took different songs, either classical, most of them are classical pieces from different composers like Beethoven and Rachmaninoff and so forth. And then they drew cartoons for each of the songs to try to either tell a story or to enhance the story of the song. For example, I know some of y'all have seen the picture of Mickey Mouse and the red robe and the star wizard's hat. Okay, that was in one of the original Fantasia movies, where you hear dun 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 dun. That song, huh? I think it's on Netflix. I think they put it out a couple of years. I don't know if they still got it or not. But they took that song, and I cannot remember the name of the song, the name of the piece. But they took that piece and drew that cartoon of Mickey Mouse doing magic. Magician's Apprentice, that's the name of it. The name of the cartoon segment, where he starts making the mops and the brooms and everything dance. So that's what that is. So that's more of a lyrical thing. But as far as an emotional, expressive movement, let's think of an emotion. Somebody give me an emotion.
Sadness.
Actually, looks like you want to say something. Sadness?
Or unfiltered rage.
All right, let's go with sadness first. Let's start with sadness. So if you think of sadness, what are some body movements we could use that you could think of that we could use to express sadness?
You could
Crying.
be kind of sulking a little bit.
Okay, how would we show that in our bodies?
Like kind of just like shrug downward. Like don't
Okay.
hold your shoulders up as high.
So something like this maybe would work. If you could see me, I don't know if you can or not. Yep, I changed cameras. What camera are we on here? Nope, we're on the right one. Okay. Let me pull that up there. So maybe if you're kind of hunched over, slower movements, something like that. Think that can convey sadness? All right. So what about hunger? Let's go on for an emotion. What about hunger? How could we show hunger physically in a movement? Getting antsy? Okay. How would we portray antsiness? I can think of one good one. You got to go to the bathroom. Okay, that's a movement. You gotta. Okay, I'm portraying. I gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta go. Okay, you're jumping around. You're moving all over the place. Okay, so that's one way you can move. That's an expressive movement. How could we show love, for example? Love, affection, is an expressive movement. Lots of ways we could do it. We could be like something like this, swooning over that person way over yonder. Okay, some movements like that. All right, can anybody else think of another movement that we could do to convey love, affection, attraction even? Twitter-patedness. Have you ever heard of being Twitter-pated? I need to watch Bambi. That was what their term was for falling in love, was being Twitter-pated with somebody. Anytime
I forgot about that. I'm gonna start calling it that now.
What, being Twitter-pated?
Yeah.
Yeah, unless somebody's seen the movie Bambi, they're gonna be like, "What's that got to do? What is that? Some kind of Twitter thing? A tweet? Something you do on Twitter?"
That's what I thought.
But no, that's if you ever watch the movie Bambi, that's there. So he's Twitter pated. In other words, he's fallen in love. So that's what that means. So yeah, expressive movements. Different movements convey different things. I wish I had some videos I could show you some other examples of it, but let's keep going on. Yeah, I'd like to read that next paragraph there. Movement can reveal what a person is feeling. Anybody?
I mean, what's that?
All right, go for it, Michaela.
Is it expressive movement? No.
Movement can reveal, right above the picture of the ballerina.
Oh. What a person is feeling in a particular moment. But when you express your physical, you must also think about what is going on inside you. How are you feeling inside greatly affects after you react on the outside emotions you are successfully express if you think before your act. In other words, your action must result from an inner drive or motivation. Keep going.
Go ahead and finish out to the period.
Okay. The reason you are acting the way you are, if you do not.
Nope, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Okay,
There you go.
okay.
So motivation, what's driving you? What's the reason for you to be doing what you're doing? You ever watch, especially any of these movies that talk about making a movie in Hollywood? The guys are always asking, what's my motivation? What's my motivation? In other words, what is driving this character to be this way? So for example, let's go a little bit historical here. Braveheart. And I'm basing this off the movie. I don't know much of the historical context of Braveheart, but if you've watched the movie from years ago, Braveheart, Scottish hero, his motivation for starting the war, starting the battle between the Scots and the Brits at the time, was because the British soldiers killed his wife. So that would be his motivation for doing that. So the actor would have to play and portray and think about, okay, how would this character express out these feelings, these emotions, and this rage from having his wife murdered? Okay, hate to take it a little dark, but that was a good example. All right. So motivation, that's your inner drive. What's driving you? What's causing you to be the way that you are? Okay. Next section. Who wants to read If You Don't Think First? Going once, going twice. All right, Jaleesa, do you want to read that paragraph, finish out that paragraph for us? If the internet's behaving, I should say. All right, I'll go ahead and finish out that. I think she's having some issues here. All right, so if you do not think first, your expressive movement will be meaningless and incomplete. In other words, if you don't plan ahead, it's not going to be what you want it to do. Some people can make it up off the cuff, but most of the time, the better part of valor will say, the better idea is to plan it out ahead. You will not communicate your feelings effectively, and you will not be as believable on stage. Remember, you must respond mentally as well as physically to feelings of expression. What does that mean? You must respond mentally as well as physically to feelings of expression. What the heck does that mean? Anybody have a clue? Anybody have an idea what you think that means? Okay. Well, I take that to read as you must be, remember, you must respond mentally as well as physically, meaning you have to think about it first. Put in the work ahead of time, the mental planning ahead of time before you invoke the physicality of it, because otherwise, if you don't, you're just making it up as you go. And sometimes it's probably not going to work out the way you hoped it would and the way you wanted it to. Okay? All right, next paragraph. Basically, it's talking about what are emotions. Emotions are strong feelings, often reactions such as happiness, sadness, anger, jealousy, fear, loneliness, grief, joy, excitement, love, hate, and embarrassment, to name only a few. In the following exercises, we can do a couple of these things here. Let's talk about these exercises that help us to use facial expressions and other body movements. Some of them will also include verbal communication, enhanced expression of your feelings. So that's what's talking about all these movements here. Now, what could be a challenge today of really being able to express facial expressions? A little hard to be really expressive when the only thing you can see is the person's eyes. A little hard to be that way, but it can be done. So it can be done. It's trickier. Let's just say that. It is trickier. So how do you think we could overcome and work around facial expressions while having to use masks? Any idea how we could do that? Okay, definitely use your eyes. Yeah, because I mean, that's about all you have to show, really, is your eyes. So what's, let me see if I can put this question another way. How could we be emotive with our eyes? What are some ways we could be emotive with our eyes, since we have to deal with these face masks? Okay, how would you express anger with just your eyes? Drop them eyebrows. Okay, what about confusion? I mean, how would you physically, how would you show that with just your eyes? How could you show confusion with just your eyes? Yep, use that, raise that up. Okay, when I did that, I envisioned the picture of that baby's face that there's like, that meme, like that. Okay, raise that eyebrow if you're able to. Okay. How could we show, let's see, how about showing that we're interested in someone else in romantic sort of way? How could we show that with just your eyes? You don't know? Anybody online have a clue? How could we show someone we're interested in them with just our eyes? Anybody?
Wait.
What you doing, Cressy? We're waiting with bated breath. You said wait, we're waiting. I said your eyes, not music. I gotta mute you. I'm gonna get a copyright strike when I post that. Okay.
Gotta make cow eyes.
Cow eyes? What are cow eyes?
Yeah, because you know cows just really have. Cows always have like these really big eyes.
Okay.
So you just have to like eyeball.
Like this? I know I can't do it very
Yeah.
well. I turn more creeper than anything else. But all right, ladies, another way you could do it is you just be like, flutter those eyelashes at them. You never heard that fluttering your eyelashes at a guy
No.
or a girl, whatever? Whoever? Yeah, fluttering eyelashes. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. At least that's how they portray it in the movies anyway. That has become one of the more, we'll say, stereotypes of showing affection like that is like really batting the eyelashes at somebody. Like that. Okay. Works better when you have eye makeup on. It's probably it, I would think so. Huh?
No. No.
Okay, so needless to say, masks prove to be a challenge. They can be overcome as far as being able to show emotions on your face, but it certainly is a challenge to do. But it can be overcome, needless to say. All right, so does anybody have any questions about movement, rhythm, and expressing with movements? Any questions about that? Okay. All right, so I want everybody, we're going to do just one of these little exercises here. We're going to do this rhythmic movements. I want everybody to, first of all, if you're at home and you're in bed, get up out of bed. Where's my air horn? Air horn. Wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Get out of bed. You're in the bed. Get up. What, the yeet? Yeah, I've been playing that one like crazy. Yeet. There you go. All right. So rhythmic movements. I want each of you to come up with some sort of rhythmic movement that matches the loudness and intensity of either one of these sounds. So we're going to start off first with a scratching sound. Who can come up with some sort of movement that could possibly show a scratching sound? Not actually making the sound itself, but making a movement that could portray scratching. Anybody think of anything? Anybody at home think of a way you can portray scratching sound? Okay. When you think of something that's scratching, what do you immediately think of? Something scratching. How does it make you feel?
What's it called? It makes me flinch.
Flinch? See, that could be a movement. That could be right there, could be a movement, yes. Okay. Hang on a second. Mind if I use you as a guinea pig for a second? Okay. Can I put you on camera for a sec? Okay. World Michaela World. All right, so make that movement you just did. She was talking about possibly using flinching as a movement for it.
Now?
Yeah, go for it. And action.
Again.
Okay, yeah, that would be a good one. That could work. Yes, okay. All right, anybody else got an idea for a scratching sound?
Yeah, I got one.
Okay, probably some kind of like jagged movements, like something like that, possibly. Jagged movements, like you're being shocked or electrocuted a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's try an easier one. What about a soft whisper? What movements could you use to express a soft whisper? Anybody got an idea?
A very subtle nod.
A very subtle nod. Okay, can you show that to us? If you don't mind turning your camera on for a second. We'll put her up over here for a second. Try that one again, Chris. We didn't see it. Try that one again, Chris. It didn't come through. Okay, as best as we can see that, yeah. Okay, I guess, yeah, that could work, yeah, okay. Oops, let me get back over here. Unpin. Okay. All right, kind of like soft movements. Like could be a slight, oops, go away. Like a soft whisper, you could do like something like that was soft. Like this could show earnest as well, which I'm like, reaching in to figure out what they're trying to say. Okay. All right, anybody else got an idea? All right. Nobody else is brave enough. Okay. Put that back up there. There we go. All right. So what about snoring? What kind of movement could we use for snoring? Any ideas about snoring? Okay, I got one idea that you could use could be like, because you have that rhythmic rise and fall and the collapse of the snoring, like that kind of a movement. That could express snoring, possibly. All right. All right, so what about a high, shrill whistle?
My dad does it. He can put his fingers in his mouth, and I was like, it feels like when I was the run. Like he does it
Like that? Much higher pitched? Yeah. I can get higher pitched too, but I didn't want to with it blow everybody's ears out at home. And y'all's too. Because it does reverberate like crazy in this room. I've done it when y'all know nobody's here. Just to hear the sound of the room.
Even my uncle Scott does it. He can, like if I know he's whistling, I always look back and I know who it is.
Yep. My dad, before he had to get his teeth worked on, could do it pretty well. I think he's been able to get it back though. Because he'd do it without his fingers. He's back, just hear it and whistle without. I have yet to be able to figure out how to do it without fingers. All right, so what's a movement we could use for a high, shrill whistle? Maybe something like that, like a kind of a thing. Reach up to your ears, kind of a thing. One way you could really learn some expressive movements is to watch some of the old Looney Tunes cartoons. I'm talking about Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, the ones from the 40s, 50s, and 60s, especially the 40s and 50s. Okay, those are some of the best ones to be able to understand about rhythmic movement, timing, being able to move with a beat. In fact, I don't care if I get copyright strike for this. I'm going to pull this up if I can find it. Oh, wait, I did have it. Hold that thought. If I can find it, I will be right back. Find it. Even, no. No, not that one. Well, the thing is, I want to see. Yeah. All right. So how many of you are familiar with this cartoon? Okay, hold on. Yeah, it's just going to be the audio for it. But it's called The Rabbit of Seville. I know I've got that on tape. Hold on. Okay, got it. Going old school here today, folks. We're going DVD. I can get the darn thing to play. Let's see if I can get this thing to open. Bear with me. I have to have this set up ahead of time. DVD player. Until you go eject. There it is. All right, if I can get the thing to play. Find the disc. All right, at least I can just find a clip of it then. That's not working the way I want it to, and I see that I'm frozen. That's better. Okay, so this is the Rabbit of Seville. All that mess. There we go. All right, hold on a sec. There we go. So this would be a rhythmic movement. See how Bugs' movements are tied in with the music? So this would be an example of timing. Timing some of the movements with the music and the sound effects. Okay. And if I could get the doggone DVD to work, it would have really been better. The movements are even better with the whole thing.
Next.
Okay. If you get a chance, you can find that online. You can find the full thing, The Rabbit of Seville, if you want to watch that. But any of these older cartoons really express the expressive movements, rhythmic movements, timing of the music with the movements that they animate. And people do this all the time on stage as well. They get obviously a lot more, to use the term, animated when it's an animated film or animation cartoon like that, but than a regular human person can do. But timing of the rhythmic with the beat is crucial when it comes to stuff like that. And Haley got her little brother. Yes, we're watching cartoons in drama class today. All right, so all right, so does anybody have any questions about rhythmic movement? Why it's important in drama? Anybody good? I know y'all are just sitting there, just didn't say anything so I can shut up. I know that. I know how you guys think, especially this one. I know she, no, I'm just kidding. Lena, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. I haven't seen you in almost a year. I got to catch up on some picking on you, okay? The cat turned on the camera. Yeah, Cressy, for a second there, I thought you were recording me on screen. Like she was sitting there with her camera pointed, her phone right at the camera, and her cat turned on her camera.